Hi, so welcome in another video focused on Drawabox exercises. And today I'm going to be doing warm-ups. I think warm-ups are great because they don't take you that much time to do. That means you can do them every day. And you can really start seeing the results. They're not immediate results, but it takes just from a few weeks to a few months, and you can start seeing a lot of improvement. For me, for example, I noticed that my hand control got much better thanks to these warm ups. Apart from the lessons, this is just kind of an additional way to practice. It doesn't take a lot of time. It takes me personally from about 10 to 20 minutes a day, but you can do even 5 minutes if you just want to do the ghosting lines exercise and you want to do only 5 lines or 10 lines. It's not going to take you 20 minutes to do that, probably. But if you do it almost every day, or just if you do it repetitively, and consistently, you are going to see or start seeing some improvement in that area that you were focused on in these warm-ups. So that's what I really like about warm-ups. Yeah, that's what I really like about warm-ups. They also kind of prepare my hand before I go and paint or draw anything. It kind of gets my hand moving so that I don't feel like it's stiff, and I just feel like I'm ready to jump into paintings and everything. So the very first thing that I'm doing here is the ghosting lines exercise. Basically, what you do is you draw 2 dots with the distance between the dots. You kind of determine how long the line will be. I would advise you to maybe start with short lines because it's really hard to ghost the lines, to be ghosting the lines, and to execute confident, flowing, straight lines when the lines are really long. Especially if your hand is maybe still, I don't want to say stiff, but you know what I mean. When your hand is just still at the very beginning of the exercise, and the lines might not go the way you wanted them to go. So I think starting with short lines is the best way to go, at least for me. And then I gradually go into doing longer lines because I feel like my hand is already kind of, has already practiced a bit, so I feel more confident doing the harder stuff. So what I do is that I draw these 2 dots, then I connect or create a line with a ruler. And then I ghost my lines, and I just try to make the lines exactly like the line that I have drawn with the ruler. What I have to point out, and I feel like a lot of people might actually need to hear this, is that you really just can't rush. And it doesn't apply just to this specific exercise. It applies to everything because, at least for me, very often when something in a painting is just not working out for me, I just can't get it right. Very often is just because I've rushed through something in there before that now I can see something is lacking because I haven't paid enough attention to something at the very start. Of course, it doesn't happen always, but very often rushing is just the cause of many mistakes or many problems that you can bump into when painting. One tip that I could give you in regards to this exercise is that might sound weird, but let me explain. And that is, as you draw the line, try drawing it with your eyes as well. And what I mean by that is that try watching the trajectory of the original line that you've put down, that you're trying to essentially copy. It really helps to kind of have more control over the line, because you're watching that specific spot where it's going to go, and it really helps me to execute the lines more correctly. With the long lines, you can right away see who is drawing with their shoulder and who isn't, and also who is hesitant and who's confident, because the line is so long that you really have to draw with your shoulder and you have to execute it confidently, or else it's just gonna curve somewhere else and it's not gonna even hit the spot that you've put down. Now I'm doing the curved lines. The curved lines are really hard because they aren't straight, and that causes your hand to just not really follow the original line very well. But personally, I can start seeing I start seeing improvement. Again, it just takes time. Just treat them the same way as you treat the straight lines. Just try to ghost them. Watch the trajectory of the original line. Try to control your hand as much as possible. Draw with your shoulder, and eventually you will become much better at drawing them. And I personally really like to implement boxes into my warm-ups because they help me improve and practice my feeling of 3D space. So I always put them into my warm-ups. I do the same stuff that I was talking about in my 250 box challenge video. I mean, it's ghosting, it's pretty much everything. The principles are the same. You're just applying them into a different exercise. That means we're ghosting our lines, we're thinking about the initial Y, thinking about the convergences, and then also applying some line weight, and then also shading in the front plane. And apart from ghosting lines and boxes and curved lines, I decided to draw some arrows. I think arrows are really good for practicing your feeling of 3D space, because it really challenges your mind, because you have all the twists and folds, kind of like you would have in a fabric or in a piece of paper. And as you practice it, you become more flexible with the way you think about drawing and 3D space. I personally really improved in, I would say, kind of knowing how to draw fabric, or just if I want to draw something that is flat but it's kind of, twisting in space, just how do I draw it? One tip that I would probably give you is to create more depth with these arrows, because it can be really easy to make them feel flat, because at the end of the day, the arrows are actually flat, but you cannot make them feel flat in the space that they're in. So, to create more depth, the basic thing that you should do is, as things are going away, they are getting smaller. It's really simple, but it's also as simple to forget about it when drawing something like arrows or something that is pretty much flat. Always, when you're drawing an arrow or anything that is kind of taking up some space, remember that as things are more away from us, they are smaller than the things that are closer to us. That will really help to create a sense of depth. And another thing, making the line thinner in the distance. It's kind of making you feel like it's diminishing, like the atmospheric perspective, to call it that way. And one more thing that I do is that I add some shading behind the folds. Watch out for putting the shading at the wrong side of the fold. Just avoid it by thinking about which part of the fabric or paper, however you want to think about this arrow, which part of it is closer to us, which is overlapping which one. With that, you're going to determine which one is in front of you and which one, therefore, should be shaded is behind the one that is more closer to you. And that'd be everything for today. I think warm-ups are really... I know I already said it at the beginning, but I think warm-ups are really great. If you do them consistently and you're not rushing through it, I can't stress this enough, because rushing isn't going to get you anywhere. It's only going to make you feel stressed, and you're not really going to take that much away from whatever that you're doing as you could if you were maybe going a bit slower. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and hopefully you're also going to start doing some warm-ups. Okay, bye.